Hey guys, so this week we're going to be talking about travel bags, and the bag we're going to be taking a look at is the Hexad Access Duffel from Wandrd. And so as soon as I saw the Access Duffel, it really made me think a lot about some of the duffel bags that we've had on the channel in the past, especially the Nomatic Travel Bag. Up until now, that's still one of my favorite travel bags that I've had on the channel and that I've tested out, and I've taken many trips with it and it's held up really well. And so up until this point, I hadn't really found any sort of duffel style bag that could really compare against a Nomatic Travel Bag until the Access bag. So I was really excited to get my hands on the Access Duffel just to see how it compared to the Nomatic Travel Bag and a lot of the other travel duffels that we've had on the channel. And so I've been really impressed so far with all the features and the quality that the Access Duffel has. And so I'm going to be going in depth into the different features that the bag has and all the different items that I have inside, but I'll also be focusing throughout the video on how this bag compares with the travel bag specifically, just because they both have kind of a similar look, they have similar features, and they're kind of in a similar price range. So if you're kind of torn between the two bags, I'm hoping this video can kind of help make that decision a little bit easier for you. And so as I've been testing the Access Duffel out, I've been really impressed with the overall features and quality that it has to offer, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys and also talk a little bit about how it compares with the Nomatic Travel Bag, as well as some of the other bags that we've had on the channel. So let's just go ahead and dive in and take a closer look at the Hexad Access Duffel from Wandrd. So starting out with the outside of the bag and the overall aesthetics, the Wandrd Access Duffel is a really nice looking bag. It reminds me a lot of the Nomatic Travel Bag. It has a really similar kind of durable tarpaulin type material. It feels really waterproof. All the zippers have this kind of water guard and water resistance protection, so you really feel like it's going to hold up well in a variety of different environments. The bag comes in the same kind of nice black material that the Nomatic Travel Bag and the in-case Tracto Split Duffel that we reviewed in the past came with. And so that material has held up really well, and overall the bag just feels really sturdy. One thing to note about the sturdiness of the bag is that similar to the Nomatic Travel Bag, the bag is pretty heavy. It's about 4 pounds when empty, so there's a lot of padding and different features that the bag has to offer, and that all comes at a cost of a little bit of weight. So just one thing to keep in mind as you're packing this out. And so the capacity of the bag is about 45 liters, so it's a little bit bigger than the bags that we've had in the past. So the Nomatic Travel Bag is about 40 liters, and the in-case Tracto Split Duffel was also 40 liters, the version that we reviewed here on the channel. And that's typically the size that I like to carry with me as I'm traveling, just because that size has always been a really safe bet for me as far as not having to check the bag. So once you get into the 45 liter territory, it can get a little bit more iffy. So the bag does look a little bit big as you're wearing it if you have it fully packed out. But on the flip side, if you do like to pack a little bit more, or you're just looking for a little bit of extra space, this might be a good option for you. One thing to note is that even though the bag is, technically a little bit bigger, it has that 45 liter capacity, it doesn't feel like it holds that much more than a Nomatic Travel Bag. I think that, based off the different features that this bag has to offer and the fact that it has the capacity to open through the middle like the Tracto Split Duffel had, I think that adds a little bit of size to the bag, but it doesn't necessarily add extra capacity for holding items. So, it's nice to have that flexibility in how you pack, but it does take away a little bit from the portability of the bag, in my opinion. But it's still pretty sleek looking. I really like how on the outside it has a lot of different compression straps that allow you to compress the bag down if you don't fill it up completely. And the fact that it has this nice black coloring just really gives it a really sleek look. The bag has a really tactical feel. It has a lot of different zippers. It has a lot of handles and clips and things like that. So it's not the most minimally styled bag, but in my opinion, it still looks really cool. And so just continuing on with the outside of the bag, you can really see all the quality everywhere in the bag. They have really nice thick padded handles on all sides of the bag. So there's 4 different handles on the bag, as opposed to the Nomatic Travel Bag, which has one really nice padded handle near the top, but it doesn't have any on the sides. So, it's really nice that you have that flexibility for when you're picking the bag up and trying to put it away somewhere, or if you just want to carry it like a suitcase from the side with the handle as opposed to carrying it by its straps. It's really nice that the Wandrd bag has that flexibility in how you can carry it, and then all the handles are really nicely padded. And so as I mentioned, on the outside, it has those compression straps to help you compress the bag down if it's not that full, or if you just want everything to be a little more secure. It's also nice that it has the compression straps to add a little bit of flexibility in what you can attach to the bag. So on one side of the bag, the compression straps are actually removable. And it has these really nice kind of clips that allow you to easily either clip something on, tighten them down, or they also get out of the way really quickly if you want to use one of these quick access compartments, which we'll look at in a little bit. So these are really nice clips. They're very easy to remove. I believe Wandrd has a bunch of different accessories that they sell on their site that allow you to kind of customize a lot of aspects of the bag. So it's really nice that these are easy to remove and that you can buy all sorts of different straps and things to configure the bag. On the other side of the Access Duffel, there's 2 more compression straps, and these are a little bit different. They don't have the clips that allow you to fully detach them. They're actually completely attached. Here is, really nice for if you want to put a towel or something, or if you want to compress the bag down. These are still really nice for doing that. And I imagine that this has to do with the fact that there's no quick access pockets right here that these straps are blocking, as opposed to the front side where if you didn't have the removable straps, they would block the quick access compartment. So really well implemented overall. The bag also has some really nice kind of loops here that allow you to clip things on with carabiners or things like that. So one thing I noticed about the bag that I was a little sad to see is that it doesn't have any sort of water bottle compartment. This is a big duffel, so I'm sure you could find space on the inside of the bag to fit a water bottle somewhere. But one thing I really liked about the Nomatic Travel Bag is that it actually had a dedicated water bottle compartment. It had kind of a tarpaulin lined interior compartment that was really meant to hold either a water bottle or wet clothing or things like that, and it was really well implemented. So I really liked to see that in the Nomatic Travel Bag, and I was sad that there was nothing similar included in the Access Duffel. However, as I mentioned, you could probably fit it inside, or as I mentioned with a carabiner, you could clip it onto the side of the bag and you'd still be able to carry it with you. So not quite as smoothly implemented, but still you're able to work around it. As I mentioned earlier, the Access Duffel has really nice zippers all around. Most of them seem to have this water resistant coating that really helps you feel like it's going to keep water away from your electronics and sensitive items that you have inside the bag. The one compartment that does not have any sort of protective sealing is the main zipper here at the top that connects to where the laptop compartment is. So it does have this flap that kind of protects the zipper. So in that sense, it may not be too big of a concern of water touching that zipper, but it is unusual that all the other zippers have that protective sealing and not the one that actually is most close to the laptop. So it's something interesting, and I wish they kind of had just had that extra sealing there just to be on the safe side. But overall, I think your laptop will still be safe, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to the laptop compartment later in the video. And so the bag has a few different lockable zippers. The main compartment here where the laptop is stowed has a lockable zipper, as well as the zipper that allows the bag to split open like a suitcase. And then also this zipper here that has access to kind of your quick access compartment where you would keep a lot of maybe your sensitive electronics. But I did notice that there's no way to lock the zippers on these quick access compartment on the side. These pockets still give you access to the main part of the suitcase. And so I just thought it was interesting that there is the ability to lock the suitcase from opening up flat, but somebody could still get into your bag through this quick access pocket. So, with that in mind, you can pack in such a way that you wouldn't have anything sensitive in this area that was still exposed. But it's something that, you might want to keep in mind, and I do wish that they had found a way to kind of lock these pockets as well. So next up, I want to talk a little bit about the straps and the back panel of the backpack. And so the bag itself has some pretty comfortable straps. They have this really nice kind of soft jelly material. It's really soft. It feels comfortable on your shoulders. And so it's not a meshy type material like the one that a lot of other travel bags have. It's like the Nomatic Travel Bag, which might help prevent the buildup of moisture a little bit better. But it's still pretty soft and comfortable to wear. The only thing about the straps that kind of bugged me a little bit is that they're kind of thin. So they dig into your shoulders a little bit, especially on a bag this big and that's already pretty heavy on its own. I felt a little bit fatigued after wearing this for a long period of time with all the weight on the bag. So I do wish that the straps were a little bit wider to help distribute that weight a little bit more. But overall, they were still pretty comfortable, and I would think that hopefully most times you're not walking around a city for a long period of time with this bag and that you don't have to be wearing it for multiple hours at a time. But if you do, then it is important to note that the straps might dig in just a little bit. So something to keep in mind there. The bag also includes a nice sternum strap to help distribute some of the weight. And it also includes these loops here at the bottom that are good for adding a waist strap that's actually sold separately. And so you can purchase separate accessories for the bag, such as the waist strap on Wandrd's site. And so this is something that has bugged me with a couple of different companies that have good bags that we featured here on the channel, is this lack of including the waist strap. The bags themselves are not that cheap, and for bags, especially something this big and heavy, it really seems like the waist strap is something that most people are going to want to help kind of distribute that weight as you're walking around, especially when the straps are kind of thin. So that's one area where I think the Nomatic Travel Bag really excels. It's really great that the bag is not only cheaper, but it also includes a really nice set of waist straps right with the bag. So I think that's a huge plus in favor of the Nomatic, and definitely something to keep in mind. Moving on to the back panel here, the Wandrd bag is actually one of the first duffels that I've tried out that has actually tried to mitigate the back paneling a little bit. So that was one of the complaints I had with the Nomatic Travel Bag, is that the back panel is just really flat and the same tarpaulin material as the rest of the bag. So it doesn't have any sort of elevation or padding to prevent, moisture from building up or to allow airflow to come in. So it's really nice to see that Wandrd tried to tackle that issue by including this nice padding here on the back. And so this padding itself is pretty hard. It's a really rugged type material. It feels like it's going to hold up pretty well. The material itself is not meshy, so it does feel like it might get a little bit sweaty while you're wearing this throughout the day, but it is nice that there is some elevation here to allow airflow to come in, so that should help mitigate for that. And overall, the padding works pretty well here. It definitely feels a little bit better than, having just the tarpaulin material on your back like the Nomatic Travel Bag does. An interesting difference between these straps on the Nomatic Travel Bag and the Wandrd Access Duffel are that the straps on the Access Duffel are actually removable. So it's nice that you can take the straps off, tuck everything away, and so if you do have to end up checking the bag, it is nice that there's less that's going to get tangled and the bag will just look a lot neater as it's getting transported. This is also where it's a huge advantage that the Wandrd bag has, all the big beefy handles on the side. So if you put the straps away, you can carry it like a suitcase, and it makes it very easy for somebody to lift and move around. One thing to note about the Access Duffel is that it doesn't have kind of the traditional straps that a regular duffel would have to carry the bag when you're not wearing it as a backpack. So you can carry the bag by its straps, as you see in the footage here, and that works out pretty well. And you also have the side handles to carry it. But it's a little bit different than in the Nomatic bag, which can't remove the straps on that bag. So if you're not using it as a backpack, the straps actually tuck away when you pull up on the handle to carry it, and it has this really comfortable kind of leather material here for you to tie the straps together. So in that sense, it's a lot more like a traditional duffel bag, and you have a nice comfortable way to carry it here. But the disadvantage with the Nomatic Travel Bag is that you can't fully remove the backpack strap, so if that's something that's important to you, you won't be able to remove those, and it also doesn't have a handle on the side. So it might end up being a little bit more difficult to hold the Nomatic Travel Bag at your side without having that extra handle here to carry it like a suitcase. So, they both have a variety of options of how to carry, and it's really up to your personal preference which one may be better for you. Continuing on with the outside of the Access Duffel, it does have two small pockets here on the side that are kind of quick access compartments for really small accessories that you might want to carry with you. So one of them is kind of the perfect size for a modern smartphone. So what I have in here, as you can see, is my iPhone 10, and that fits really comfortably in this pocket. And the pocket is actually fleece lined, so it has a protective material here to help prevent scratching. And so that's really nice to see. And this pocket itself, it's as I mentioned, it's perfectly sized for a smartphone. I don't see too many other things that might fit in here, maybe a pair of small headphones or, a small portable battery or something like that, maybe even like a hard drive. But overall, it's a pretty small and slim pocket, so it's kind of perfectly sized for a smartphone. And then on the other pocket, it's a very similar size compartment. This one does not have the internal fleece lining, and this is actually kind of perfectly sized for a field notes notebook or maybe your passport if you need to grab that quickly as you're moving through the airport. It would fit in here really nicely, maybe a wallet as well. The one downside with this pocket is that it's not lockable, so if you were to put your passport or your wallet in there, it might be a little bit at risk, so just something to keep in mind. But overall, the pocket is very similar to the one that we just showed for the phone, with the main difference just being that it doesn't have that fleece-lined inner lining. And as with the other pocket, it's a pretty slim pocket, so I wouldn't put anything too bulky in here. At the top of the bag, there is another kind of quick access compartment. This one's a little bit bigger and will be a great place to house all those items that you might want to access really quickly as you're moving through the airport, or that you might want to throw in while you're going through TSA. In this area, there's actually kind of two zippers going on, and this is one thing that was a little bit tricky about the bag, is there's so many zipper pulls everywhere, and there's so many pockets that sometimes it can be a little bit confusing to know which one to grab, or you may end up grabbing the wrong one a few times. So this particular pocket was troubling because it has two zippers almost on top of each other. So what happens here is you can actually remove the straps, and once you remove the straps, you can actually zip this entire compartment up to lock it and prevent anybody from accessing this whole area. And so that's a nice feature to have, but as I mentioned, it does get sometimes a little confusing with all the different zippers. But this is kind of the main quick access compartment for the bag. It also has a nice protected zipper here to help keep clutter out. And as I mentioned, I like that this one's a little bit bigger, so I can put some bulkier items in here, and it's just kind of a nice catch-all compartment. So what I currently have in here is my Ray-Ban sunglasses with their case, and then I also have my 5-port USB adapter. Then I also have my GoPro Hero 3 Plus. And also contained in this pocket is a little keychain holder. So what I currently have here is just a little multi-tool. It's got a really short lanyard, and the clip itself is pretty nice and easy to access. It's just, a simple plastic clip. So it's really nice that that was included to provide a little extra organization inside the compartment. Another thing to note is there is kind of this inner divider here that's kind of a meshy and stretchy material. And so, I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is. I suppose it's to provide a little extra organization inside the compartment, but it doesn't have any sort of Velcro or zipper, and it's just kind of a, large flap that's very loose. So I think that anything you tried to put in there would definitely fall out into the rest of the compartment. So I think it might have been almost better to just not include that at all, because it's just an extra piece of fabric floating around inside. And the inside of the compartment, is just a regular compartment. It doesn't have any sort of fleece lining, but it's a nice, amount of space. I think I could put a pair of headphones in here as well, additional chargers. So really nice overall that it's just a big compartment that lets you pack what you need to. One thing to note about this compartment is that it does take up space from the main compartment here, which we'll look at in a little bit. So if you fill this out completely, it will eat up some of the volume of the main top area. On the other side of the bag is a nice big compartment, which I believe is meant to be either kind of for shoes or maybe if you want to have your toiletries quickly accessible. This is a bag that also takes up volume from the main compartment here at the top, but it's separate from that area. So if you have wet clothing or dirty clothing, or as I mentioned, toiletries or your shoes, this will help provide a little separation to keep, anything from getting onto the rest of the stuff in that main compartment. And so currently what I have in here is my running shoes. So I have some Nike Free Runs, and I'm about an 11.5. So, just to give some size comparison for the type of shoes that might fit in here. The compartment itself is pretty nice. You can easily pull out the lining if you want to clean it or let it dry out. As I mentioned, it does take up a fair amount of space from the inside of the bag, and I'll make sure to show that when we go through the main compartment, how much space it's actually taking up. But I was happy to see that I was able to fit my shoes in here. Typically I would travel with either Toms or the kind of Converse type shoes that I have that are really flat. But it was nice to see that I even could fit a bulkier pair of shoes if I so wanted to. I did prefer how the Nomatic Travel Bag implemented their shoe compartment. I think it's a little bit more spacious, and I felt like I could actually fit 2 pairs of shoes in that compartment, as opposed to this bag. I really feel like I should just keep it to 1 unless I pack really thin shoes. And so before I move into the main compartment of the bag, I want to talk about kind of these quick access compartments here on the outside. And I think this really lends to the name of the bag. So this is called the Access Duffel after all. And so as we'll look at in a little bit, you can actually open the duffel down the middle and use it like a suitcase. But if you don't want to do that, these 2 pockets on the outside provide you access to the inside of the main compartment on the bottom half. And so it's really nice that you have that capability of accessing the main compartment without opening all the full zippers up. Sometimes that can be very cumbersome. So it's really nice that you can just quickly get to whatever you packed in this main area. So here what I actually did is I packed my DOP kit here close to the edge. So here's where I might have my toiletries sometimes, or just things that I might want to grab quickly when I'm in a airport for a long period of time and I want to clean up. And so it's really nice that I can open up this pocket, reach in and quickly grab my DOP kit. And so as you can see, and we'll take a closer look at this main compartment in a little bit, but mostly I just wanted to emphasize the fact that you have 2 points of access to this main compartment. So the DOP kit is something that I put really close to this pocket because it's something I might grab quickly, but based on how you pack this, maybe where you put a sweater or something like that. And as I noted earlier, these compartments are not lockable, so it does provide access to this main area, so just something to keep in mind. It's nice that the flaps to these compartments also have a small zippered area that you can use to store smaller accessories, so snacks or memory cards or power banks or something like that. You can kind of just throw these in here. There's nothing too special about these compartments. They're just very simple, and also kind of quick access since you can open them and access them really quickly. So really nice to have that flexibility in how you can organize your stuff. Another thing to note about these quick access compartments, this bag is meant to be compatible with the camera cubes that Wandrd sells, that allows you to kind of organize all your lenses and cameras into a really neat kind of case and keep everything organized. It actually fits perfectly into one of the main sections of this main compartment. And so if you are traveling with this bag as your main bag and you want to quickly grab your camera, if you have it in one of these compartments, this quick access pocket allows you to just reach in, grab your camera, and then put it away just as quickly. So, really nice implementation there. And so with the Nomatic Travel Bag, as opposed to providing access to the main area, the side compartment serves more as an organizational area for all your technology. So it has a lot of kind of slip pockets, some zipper pockets. It has an RFID safe compartment for your passport and sensitive things like that. So, it's just a little bit different in how it's implemented, and which one is more useful to you will depend on how you like to organize your stuff. And so next up, I want to talk about the laptop compartment on these bags. And so the laptop compartment on the Access Duffel is located on the flap that's attached to the back panel. So very similar to how it is in the Nomatic Travel Bag. And the compartment itself can hold up to a 15-inch laptop compartment. And, as opposed to the Nomatic Travel Bag, which is kind of a top-loading compartment, this one is more side-loading. And the compartment is pretty well padded. It's got, a little bit of rigidity here to help protect your laptop. As I mentioned, it can hold up to a 15-inch laptop. Currently what I have in here is my 13-inch MacBook Pro, and that fits in here very comfortably. And so the compartment does offer a good amount of padding. As I mentioned, it has some rigidity. It doesn't have any sort of fleece lining on the inside or anything kind of soft to help prevent scratching, so it would have been nice to see that. So that's one thing that I did like about how the Nomatic Travel Bag implemented its laptop compartment, is that it actually has that fleece lining to protect against the scratching. However, the laptop compartment in the Nomatic bag is not quite as rigid as the one here in the Hexad Duffel. So it really just depends on which thing you might find more important. But either way, it's really easy to get your laptop in and out. It has plenty of space for different size laptops, and overall I think it was pretty well implemented. But one more advantage that the Nomatic Travel Bag has is that it actually has a separate tablet sleeve. But if you don't typically travel with a tablet, or if you don't carry both a laptop and a tablet, and you can put your tablet in the laptop sleeve for the Access Duffel, that may not be a huge deal for you, but something worth calling out. And so overall, it's really great to see that both of these duffels have that capability to protect your electronics. If you're traveling for long term and you want to make sure to carry your gear with you, it's nice to know that it is going to be protected. The laptop compartment for the Access Duffel is located kind of in this top main area of the duffel. So, it's really nice that the Wandrd bag has a lot of flexibility in how you can, pack your items and how you can organize everything. And so it's nice that you can access the duffel not only by splitting it open like a suitcase, but also from the top here. You would obviously open this compartment to access your laptop, but you can also get to the top half of the duffel from this area. A lot of the volume from this top half of the bag is taken away by both the shoe compartment and the quick access compartment, so you can kind of see those areas poking in here. I actually still have the shoes in the compartment, so you can see just how much space it takes away from the inner area. And also, if you load up this top half really tightly, it gets very difficult to close the bag if you also have the laptop in here. So you kind of have to be a little bit strategic about what items you put in the top half versus the bottom half of the bag. So what I currently have here is, besides the shoes that are in this separate compartment, I also have my Toms here, which I travel with everywhere I go. And then there's not much else in here because, as I mentioned, I kind of gave more of the preference of space in this area to the quick access compartment, which is peeking in here, and the shoe area. And if you don't want to use the shoe compartment or the quick access compartment, you can just kind of tuck those things away and then just have this full area to pack however you want. So moving on to kind of the full main compartment. And so as I've mentioned several times during the video, one thing that really helps this bag stand out is the fact that you can open it flat like a suitcase. So it has this big zipper here in the middle, which is lockable, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that allows you to open the suitcase flat so that you can really see how you're packing everything as you go. And so that opens up really easily. And so the first thing you see here as I'm opening the bag is actually my Tortuga Outbreaker day pack, which has become my favorite day pack to travel with, especially when I'm traveling with a big duffel like this. I definitely don't want to walk around on my day-to-day with this type of duffel, so I now carry this bag with me. I really like how flat it's able to pack down, as you saw there. And so I actually did an in-depth review for this Tortuga day pack a few weeks ago, so I'll make sure to include a link below to where you can check out that review if you want to learn more about that. And so it's really interesting how this bag is laid out when you open it flat. It has kind of three separate sections. So it has, the larger main area, which we just looked at. And it also has these two smaller zippered mesh compartments, which you can actually use as one large compartment. It has a divider in the middle, which you can put up and down depending on whether you want to have things divided or just use it as one large compartment. And so, just starting off, I'll go ahead and show everything I have in these compartments. So in this first one here, what I have is my small packing cube, which I always carry with my underwear, socks, and t-shirts and things like that. And then, as I showed earlier, in the quick access compartment, here I have my air dop kit. And then finally, what I have here is my large double-sided packing cube with, my dress shirts and my pants and all the, bigger items that I typically travel with. And so the bag itself, you can either use it with separate compartments or you can put the divider down and use the full compartment. So what you just saw is me using the full compartment so that I could use my long packing cube. But if you don't typically use packing cubes or you just like everything to have its own area, you can actually put the divider up and then you have kind of a separate area for each of the items of your bag. So it's really nice that if you want to use one area as a packing cube for your shirts and pants and stuff, and another area as kind of a separate packing cube for your sweater or your shoes or toiletries or things like that. This is also sized perfectly, as I mentioned earlier, to fit the camera cube that Wandrd sells on their site, so you can actually fit that in here with all your accessories and then access it from the quick access compartment. And so it's really nice that the bag has the flexibility to either just use this as one large compartment or to separate it out depending on your packing style and how you want to use everything. Typically for me, because of my packing style, I would typically just leave the divider down and use this more for the larger packing cube, as you saw. Inside this main compartment, there's also two smaller zippered compartments here on one of these sides that I guess offer some separation for cables or medicine if you have something like that. This first one here is really small and kind of thin, so it's nice that it's a meshy material so you can actually see what's in the pocket. I'm not entirely sure what you would put in there just because of the size, maybe like a laundry bag or something. But I don't think I'd use that pocket too much, since most of the items that I typically carry with me are in some sort of pouch or packing cube. And then on the back wall of this compartment, there is a larger zippered mesh compartment. And this one's a little bit bigger. It has some volume, so I think you could probably put socks or underwear in here if you don't have them in a packing cube. Much like the other pocket, I don't think I would typically use this too much, but it's nice that it's there if you want to separate stuff out a little bit more. And it's also nice that it doesn't really get in the way if you choose not to use that. And so overall, I was just really impressed how well this pocket was implemented. I really like the flexibility that it offers. I like that you can put the divider up and down, and that you can use this as one kind of large compartment or separate it out into different sections if that helps keep your stuff a little bit more organized. And it's also really nice that you can open it flat like a suitcase so that you can see everything kind of all at once. And so this is a little bit different than how the Nomatic Travel Bag is implemented. That is a little bit more like a traditional duffel. You open it from the top, and you can kind of just load everything like that. And so I'm a little torn on which way works better. To me personally, even though the ability to split the bag open like a suitcase is cool, I do think it kind of comes at a cost of space. I'm able to fit as much stuff into the Nomatic Travel Bag as I am into the Access Duffel. Even though the Access Duffel is a little bit bigger, I think that because of the flexibility that you get of all these compartments, it just takes away some of the space that can be used for packing, and it makes the bag ultimately a little bit bigger. I don't think you can really go wrong with either bag. Overall, I'd have to say I would still lean towards the Nomatic Travel Bag, because of the lower price, the fact that it includes the waist straps, and the fact that I think it's just a little bit more comfortable to wear because of the thin straps that the Access Duffel has. But I still think that the Wandrd Access Duffel is a really capable bag. I think they did a great job, and overall I've really enjoyed testing it out so far. So overall, I was really impressed with the Access Duffel. I think it's a really great travel bag. It offers a lot of really great features. The quality feels like it's going to hold up really well, and I think it's just really versatile overall. The bag itself costs $259 on Amazon, and you can also purchase it from Wandrd's site as well, so I'll make sure to include links below to where you could purchase the bags on Amazon and on Wandrd's site. And so, as far as the price, the bag is, in the comparable price range with a lot of the other travel bags that we've looked at on the channel. It is a little bit more expensive than the Nomatic Travel Bag, which we've been talking about a lot throughout the video. The Nomatic Travel Bag costs $220 on Amazon's site or on Nomatic's official site, and if you use the 15% coupon that I included in the description below, the bag will come out to a little bit under $200, I believe around $190. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money and you still want a really full-featured travel bag, I do think that the Nomatic Travel Bag is a little bit better deal than the Hexad Access Bag. However, if you care a lot about different organizational options that the Hexad bag has to offer, or you really like the ability to open the bag flat like a suitcase, or you like the ability to kind of access the main compartment from the outside with the various accessory pockets that we looked at throughout the video, or if you're looking for a bag that's slightly bigger, it may be worth taking a look at the Hexad Access Duffel. So, even though it's a little bit more expensive, it's still a really good quality bag. I definitely think it's going to hold up for a while. And although I personally have preferred using the Nomatic Travel Bag over the Hexad Access, I think they're both great bags. I just think that at $190 or $220, the Nomatic Travel Bag is a better deal. I think it's really cool that the Nomatic Travel Bag includes the waist straps and an additional collapsible laundry basket, whereas if you want to add waist straps to the Access Duffel, you're going to have to buy that separately, and the bag is already a little bit more expensive. So I just think that Nomatic offers a little bit better value, and it's still, just as good quality bag, and it feels like they're both going to hold up really well. As I mentioned a few times during the video, the Access Duffel also reminds me a little bit of the in-case Tracto Split, which we looked at in the past. And to me, it's almost like a mixture of the in-case bag and the Nomatic bag. So, the in-case bag didn't really have any kind of tech organization features, and the Nomatic bag does, but the Nomatic bag doesn't open up flat like a suitcase, and the InCase does. So I really think that this bag is a great mixture of the InCase Tracto Split and the Nomatic Travel Bag. But if you don't feel that you need all that additional organization, or you're just looking for a bag that's purely a duffel and not necessarily kind of a hybrid travel bag, it might be good to take a look at the InCase Tracto Split. The 40-liter version of that bag costs about $150. So it's a good amount cheaper than both of the bags, and so if you're trying to save a little bit of money and you just want a durable bag, that may be a good option. Another good option worth checking out might be the InCase Tracto Duffel. So not the Split, but the regular duffel version of the InCase bag. You know, that's also a very full-featured travel duffel. It has a great laptop compartment. It has a lot of space, and it's also kind of in this price range between, you know, $220 and $250. So, you know, it's a very comparable bag to these, and it's another good option to take a look. And I'll make sure to include links in the description below to where you could watch the full video reviews for those bags as well. But overall, I was really glad I was able to test out the Access Duffel. And if you guys have any additional questions on how the Access Duffel and the Nomatic Travel Bag compare, or how it compares to any of the other duffels that I mentioned during the video, please let me know in the comments below. And if you guys found this video useful, please go ahead and give us a like below. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. And thank you guys so much.